Hello everyone, it's Chef ThugLife, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a dessert. And the dessert in which I'll be showing you is a cheese Danish. For this, what we'll need is a few items. For the filling itself, we're going to need cream cheese. I have 8 ounces of cream cheese that I have left out so that it's soft. We also are going to need a 1/4 cup of sugar. We're going to use egg yolks and egg whites, and I'll show you in a little bit how we separate those. We're also going to need some lemon juice. I forgot to grab my vanilla. And this is what we'll be using for the filling. So we're going to get that together first. While we're getting that together, I have some puff pastry, which you can find in the freezer section at grocery stores. I have the puff pastry hanging out so that it can thaw, and we'll be able to unfold it and be able to use that as our dough for the for the cheese Danish. So into the bowl so we can make the filling. So this is just going to be kind of like a base, the cream cheese mixture that we're making right now. You can use this by itself, or like I'll be doing is adding a jam to it. So you can add like grape jelly, strawberry jam, any type of fruit that you like to it. Or you could also add peanut butter. So I'm going to be using strawberry fruit and Nutella. You could also just use peanut butter, whatever you want to add to it, or it could just be kept plain. Well, need my recipe back up. Then we are going to add the sugar into the cream cheese, and we're going to mix this together first. I have a hand mixer here. And this is why we want our cream cheese to be softened. All you have to do is just leave it on top of the counter for a couple hours so that it'll be softened. So this is something like if you decide to make it in the morning, like while you're getting ready for the day, just leave the cream cheese out. Or you could even leave it out the night before so that when you're ready to make your Danish the next day, boom. I'm going to show you real quick how to separate an egg, because we need to add an egg yolk into our cream cheese and sugar. So whenever we crack an egg, we want it to be on a flat surface, not on an edge, because then that would cause the egg shell to go into it, which we don't want. So we're going to crack it. And then instead of just dumping the whole egg in there, we're just going to take the top of it off so that the egg white runs out of it. And then you just swish the egg yolk gently back and forth. Oh no, we broke a yolk. We have to start over. Egg down, egg down. And that's why you have to be gentle. Take 2. Can I even open the egg carton? Right there. Alright. Flat surface. Gently. Sometimes what can happen is if the egg yolk catches the edge of the egg shell is what will cause it. So once you have removed the majority of the egg white, now we have separated our egg into the egg yolk and the egg white. And we're going to be using both of these in our recipe. So we'll put our egg white off to the side until we need it. Now we're going to add egg yolk. And we only need 1 teaspoon of lemon juice. So we don't need a whole lot. I'm just going to cut this into a little wedge. So 1 teaspoon of lemon juice goes into our cream cheese mixture. And then we also are going to add 1 tablespoon of vanilla. You want to make sure that you're paying attention to how things are labeled. A teaspoon is smaller than a tablespoon, and it's usually TSP for a teaspoon and TBSP for a tablespoon. This is very important to remember because you don't want to add a tablespoon of salt if all you need is a teaspoon in a recipe. It can drastically change how something tastes. So now we're going to go back and blend this all together. Start it off on low so that the yolk gets broken up. And then we turn it up a little bit because we want this to be a smooth mixture. We don't want any clumps. Halfway through, you can stop and just scrape down the sides to make sure everything is incorporated. You see on the edge there, that doesn't have any vanilla. Okay, and then I just turn it up a little bit to clean my beaters off. Boom. Now we have our cheese mixture together for our Danish. And again, you could just use this in the puff pastry, or you can add other things to it like jams, jellies, peanut butter. We're gonna put this to the side. I'm gonna clean up real quick. Just move some stuff out the way that we don't need anymore.
Question.
Yes.
So, if you're going to mix the yolk anyway, why did it make a difference as to whether or not it was broken?
So what happened here is the egg yolk broke into the egg white, and we're trying to separate the egg yolk and the egg white. So you can still use this, you know, fry it up, cook it. It's not like it's going to go to waste, but for what we're doing in particular, they need to be separated.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay. I thought it just broke. I didn't know it went to the egg white.
Yeah. So I was like, no. This is not what's supposed to go down. You're making me look silly, egg. Lemon for my tea. Boom. That was my direction, so... Alright. Good to go.
Alright.
So for the next part, we're going to get our puff pastry. Again, it'll say puff pastry on it. And this is something that you can use to make pies with. You can make your own Pop-Tarts with. It's just a dough that puffs up as opposed to a pie dough, which stays flat when you bake it. So we had it sitting out because will come frozen, and then once you let it sit out for a little bit, it becomes more flexible so that you can use it. Or if you forget to leave it out, you could just pop it in your microwave for 1 minute. We're going to put a little bit of flour down because we don't want the puff pastry to stick to our surface as we're making everything. A little bit of flour. And then this comes folded into thirds. Let's see. Sergeant Hobie, calm down. I'm going to be a little bit careful with it when it thaws out. It may be a little sticky. And again, this is why we put some flour down, because we don't want it to stick to the board. Oh, are you sticking to yourself? You're not gonna work with me, are you? Alright, let me see if the other one wants to work. No! Why are you doing this to me, puff pastry? I thought we were friends. My puff pastry does not cooperate, yeah. Trying to be gentle so I don't rip through it.
It's like doughy on that side.
Yeah. Maybe these other two will cooperate. Please, just unfold. Yo! I guess it's a good thing I bought 2 boxes. I was like, what if something doesn't go right? This is the part. It's not gonna go right, huh? Yep.
So if that happens, do you mic it a little bit, or?
It's like a little bit too thawed out. So what's happening is that it's sticking to itself. So it's not the end of the world. It's just not going to be the size I had anticipated things being. So maybe. Let me see. Just bear with me, folks. If you don't happen to have a rolling pin, I let my mother borrow mine and I forgot to get it back. So I'm just using a spray can. And I'm going to make sure there's a little bit of flour because I don't want anything to stick to it. I also wiped my can off before I did this. Ooh, gentle pressure. This is definitely going to be rustic. It's supposed to be cute little squares. I don't know what's going to go on now. But that's the fun part about cooking. You don't know what's going to happen, ever. So instead of us unfolding it, which is what I hope to happen, I'm just going to leave this in one flat sheet. And I'm going to do the same with this other one. Move this out the way. Just keep it folded. As you can see, it like it's starting to stick a little bit to my can or to your rolling pin. That means you just need to add a little bit more flour. And boom, now it's not sticking anymore. So you want to roll these out so they're about equal sizes. About equal. Perfect. Far messed up though. I'm so sad. I'm trying not to be, but it's hard. Children are gonna look at me like I'm a fool.
Pop-Tarts. Yeah, let's do it.
It's like, oh, I don't know if she's doing it anymore. She lost me. I wonder if these would work. Why'd you play me like this, puff pastry? That's wild. These are like still super frozen. That's why I don't do desserts. I am not a pastry chef. Should have just got some cookies, called it a day. That's what we're about to do. Can we just scratch this and make cookies? Oh my god. Alright. Let me. And then. Okay. Alright. I'm ready.
Yep, ready and go ahead.
Okay, so after you are done rolling out the puff pastries to the sizes, after you're done rolling out your puff pastry, you still want to put a little bit of flour down on your board. Then we're going to cut these into 4 pieces each. And the cool thing with puff pastry, in a moment you're going to see me poking it with a fork. Basically wherever you poke it with a fork is where it will not puff up at, because you're allowing the air to escape when it bakes. So we're going to use a fork. You could dip it in your flour a little bit. And we're going to poke holes more towards the center of this, because that's where we're going to put the cream cheese and our jam. So for each little square, you just want to poke the center. Bloop. Do I have a little brush? Yes, I do. So before we start putting the filling onto everything, we want to get a baking sheet ready to put everything on. I have my oven heated up at 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Cookie sheets. I'm going to be using some parchment paper to put down over this, so we don't want anything to stick while it's baking. So now for our egg white, we're just going to add a little bit of water, just a teaspoon of water to it, and mix it together. And we're going to brush this on the outsides of our puff pastry. This is just to give it a nice little brown color as it's baking. So pretty much wherever you didn't poke your puff pastry, and if you don't have a brush and you're not weird about touching food, you could just use your finger as well to do this. Desserts are so boring to me. So I said my mom is the bread baker. Like, you have to wait like hours just for it to rise before it bakes. It's like, yeah, this is a lot for one loaf of bread. Once you're done putting your egg white around the edges of all the puff pastry is when we'll begin filling everything. So you want to start with your cream cheese mixture. I'm going to put about 1 tablespoon right in the middle of that. We're going to do this for all of them. They're all going to get the cream cheese mix since we're making a cheese Danish, and this is our cheese. After you have put a tablespoon of your cream cheese mix, you could just flatten it a little bit. And then on top of this, we're going to add the strawberry jam to some of them and Nutella to some others. And a couple of them we're just going to leave plain with the cream cheese. don't need as much as the jam or Nutella. So I'm doing a teaspoon of my strawberry jam right on top of the cream cheese mix. Yeah, because everyone always thinks the dog is a Rottweiler. And they'll just be like so adamant about like, what is that, a Rottweiler? It's like, no, it's not. It's like, really, what is it? Like old English. And then, you know, people just love to like repeat what you say. Old English bulldog. Like, that was just funny at this point because it's like every person interacts with the dog. And it's always that high pitched voice.
So, yeah. I knew that already.
It is hilarious to me. Oh my goodness. People are so funny. Yeah, we didn't think that we could have pit bulls here. And I wanted to adopt a dog, and most of the dogs that are available for adoption are pit bulls or mixed with pit bulls. So then he just started looking for breeders because, you know, I'm just like, no man, there's all these dogs out here to adopt. Don't buy. And then like after we like put the down payment on the dog, that's when we just start seeing like all these people with like pit bulls outside. And we're just like, wait a second, how do people have pit bulls? And then we start talking to them, and then they put down on the paper mixed.
Oh, okay.
And I'm just like, that's clearly a pit bull head, but okay. So for 2 of these, I'm going to put Nutella on. And then the other 2 we're just going to leave plain. Now we just want to transfer these onto our parchment paper, which is on top of our baking sheet. They don't need a whole bunch of space in between because they don't spread out. They're going to puff up. Now we're going to place this into our oven. Excuse me. If you want to, you could look into the oven. When you are baking, it's best to place your rack on the middle rack so that you know that the heat is circulating all around it. I'm going to put this right in the center. And we're going to set a timer for 15 minutes. And halfway through that, we're going to check on it and turn it around to make sure everything is being baked evenly. And while this is going, we're going to make a glaze to go over top of everything. Oh, I should have put water on that. I'll pop those in a second. This might be like the cool part of like real cooking shows when your minions come in and clean everything.
Is that what you're doing?
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna need some more lemon juice. Ooh. For our glaze, and it's really simple. It's just going to be powdered sugar and some lemon juice. It's that simple. We are going to get a half a cup of powdered sugar. Let me double check my recipe. It's a cup of sugar. See? I was wrong. But you probably only need a half a cup, seeing as though it didn't come out the way the sizes they were supposed to do. We're just going to go with a half a cup of sugar, of powdered sugar. And to that, we're going to add my teaspoon is dirty, so this is a half teaspoon. We're going to start with 2 teaspoons. And you can already see that the lemon juice starts to kind of melt the powdered sugar. So it may take less or it may take more sometimes, but you really are just using the the lemon juice to turn the powdered sugar into this lemony liquid glaze. You just want to mix it so that there's no clumps of sugar. And if it gets to a point where it's still kind of clumpy as you're mixing it, we're going to add 1 more teaspoon of lemon juice just to make this a smoother consistency. And we also, since this is going to be like a glaze, we want it to be kind of runny. So this has been 3 teaspoons of lemon juice to a half a cup of powdered sugar, and I like the consistency that we have on that. So this is now our glaze finished for when our puff pastry cheese Danish comes out of the oven. Boop. And now it's the waiting game. So now the 15 minutes is up. We're going to turn it around. Ooh, or they might just be ready. These look great. I'm gonna give them a couple more minutes just because you can see on the sides here that the dough looks a little bit raw. And because we put that egg white on the outsides of it is why it has this really nice brown color. That back in, and we're just going to set the timer for another 3 minutes just to give that dough a little bit more time to cook. So our timer has gone off for the additional 3 minutes, and now we are going to take our Danish out of the oven. And now you can see that there's some more browning going on the inside layers. Ooh. This is definitely something that you will need some adult help with because the oven is very hot at 400 degrees. So here, these 2 are our plain ones. And then this is what we have with Nutella in it. And then these are the ones with the strawberry jam. As you can see, just that 1 tablespoon of the cream cheese, it spreads out a lot on it. And then it's up to you, but I like to get my glaze on as soon as it comes out. You can wait for it to cool down a little bit because the glaze is just going to run all over the place. But I like to put it right on top and then let it run all over. This is also something that you can have as like a quick little breakfast snack. A cheese Danish instead of you just eating it as a dessert. You can probably hear the cream, the icing hitting the pan, sizzling right now. That's how hot it is. So we're gonna wait until these cool down before we remove them. But now you know how to make your own cheese Danish at home. All you need is very simple ingredients: puff pastry, cream cheese, some lemon juice. I'm sure you already have peanut butter and jelly at home. All you have to do is add that on top and you have, I'm going to touch it, I'm not going to bite it. and you have a beautiful homemade cheese Danish. Yes, this is hot. Thanks for joining me, everybody. I'm Chef ThugLife, and I hope that you've taken something away from this series and that you get into the kitchen and you're able to enjoy a meal with your friends and family. Bye.